This is going to be a combination of 4 short flights with this Jet Rat SU-57 Felon with twin 30mm EDF units. I'm flying it with a 3S LiPo. It doesn't have a lot of power on 3S with the stock ESCs. I should have replaced those, but I didn't. So 2 crashes during these flights, so it's turned out to be a pretty durable little jet, and you'll see what the cause of that was here in just a few minutes. It launches really easy. I think where I have the CG set on this little jet, I think it's going to work out just fine. The balance feels good. It doesn't feel nose heavy or tail heavy. I still have a lot of tuning to do with it yet. It holds its line pretty well in fully stabilized mode. I've got a D gyro in it. But when I switch it into gyro mode, which is wind mitigation mode, I get a nose up attitude on it right away, like right there. Okay, so we're in gyro mode now. I had the control surfaces set up pretty docile, which is one of the reasons that I couldn't get a very tight turn out of it in fully stabilized mode. The last 2 flights, the 3rd and the 4th little flights that I had on this during this session, had a tighter turn radius to it. And as you could see there a second ago when I did the left roll with it, it started the roll just fine, and then it hesitated, and then it completed the roll. So I think I'm getting a little bit of flexing out of those control rods. So I'm going to put a little rigid plastic tube over top of those. And as you can see there, I've got so little power I couldn't even do a decent loop with it. So other than doing the rolls during this flight, that's about all I could do with it. Just didn't have enough power. The stock ESCs are terrible, just like the stock EDF units, 30mm EDF units. I replaced those with QX motor 30mm EDFs. These are the exact units I tested on the bench. On a 3S, I should be getting 125 grams of thrust from each one of these motors. And the all-up weight on it with the 3S LiPo and the heavier EDFs is 200 grams exactly. So 250 grams of thrust. I should have had a 1.25 to 1 thrust to weight ratio. Have these ESCs, been decent quality ESCs, I should have been able to do really good climb outs. I should have been able to do big wide loops, split S maneuvers, Immelmans, and as you saw right there, I didn't know what happened during this first little crash here. This is why I said it passed its durability test, because it nosed in pretty hard over here in this ditch on the other side of these weeds. I thought when I picked it up I was going to have a broken airframe, but no damage whatsoever. So we're going to tag it back up here, we're going to put another battery in it, and we're going to throw it back in the air again. Okay, back in the air again. This is our second flight, and the same thing is going to happen at the end, and when it happens I'll tell you what was going on with that. It's I would call it an old school build with this airframe. I've posted some image logs on our Facebook page for the assembly of this. Periodically I would assemble some components, and then I would take a picture and I would post it so you can see the progression of the build. But I say old school because all the little foam parts are put together kind of like building an old Baza wood aircraft. You build the skeleton and then you put the covering on over the skeleton. So this was kind of built the same way, except it's all made out of foam instead of balsa wood. So all the skeletal parts of it are foam that you have to glue together, and then you've got that thin foam panels that cover the entire structure. So it's a really nice looking airframe. and you can see that the longer I flew it, the more time I put on it, the more I was more comfortable I would get with the handling of the airframe. As long as I wasn't doing anything crazy that would make those control rods, you know, flex on me, I was able to fly it much lower, much closer. I was able to make some tighter turns with it. I've got to do some tuning before I take it back out again, and I'm going to have to replace those stock ESCs. So when I take it back out again, I will have at least a 1.2 to 1 thrust to weight ratio, so I could do some really good aerobatics with it. But it's a really good airframe. I don't care for the electronics that came with the plug-and-fly system, but and right there, do you see that? Okay, so that's the second crash, and that was a pretty significant hit there, because all that where it hit, it's really hard pack, sand, dirt, and gravel, and you can see that where it hit, it's really dry. So, and I thought, well, surely something's broke on it now, but nope. Other than dirtying up that hard plastic nose cone that it's got on it, there was no damage. So we're going to take it back up here, and we are going to toss it into the air again, and then I'll tell you here what was going on with that. Okay, so, and as you can see, it launches really nice. I just give it a sideways toss, hanging on to the forward section of the wing, and the right air inlet enables you to get a good grip on it. I just gave it a moderate sideways toss. Takes right off. Okay, so what was going on with those two crashes? And it looks very much like a stall, but that's not what was going on. I originally had this timer set for 3 minutes, and because it has so little thrust from those stock ESCs, I'm having to fly around at about 80% throttle the whole time, you know. And I've just got a little 3S 530 milliamp hour LiPo in it, and so having it set for 3 minutes at about, I would say, 2 minutes and 45 seconds, because I was close to completing the flight, I think, if I remember correctly. But it pulled the voltage down enough that one of the ESCs shut down, and so I had only had thrust coming out of one side, and so it induced that spin. And had I known that at the time, I could have just shut off the throttle and just floated it down, but I didn't realize that was what was going on. So then for the third and the fourth flight, I cut my timer all the way down to like 2 minutes and 15 seconds, something like that, so that I could actually bring it in and set it down without one of the ESCs shutting down on me. So that's what was going on. It was a low voltage issue on the ESC that was causing one of the motors to cut out. The other one continued, but one of them cut out. So when I bring it back out again, I will try to have a little bit larger 3S LiPo in it, and then I will also try to replace those ESCs in there as soon as I can. I think right now I'm bringing it in. I'm wanting to bring it in and set it down on this high weeds over here, and you see I almost floated it down, and then I lost it right there at the end. I don't know if the ESC cut off of it at that point, or if it did finally stall there at the end. But no damage to it, and that one was deliberate. When I set it down, it was deliberate. Okay, so on this last flight here, I had it low to the ground when I launched it. Normally I would go one circuit before I switched into wind mitigation mode, gyro mode. But right there I switched it into wind mitigation mode, and I had a little bit of back pressure on the elevator, and so it really nosed up on me when I made that switch there. So I've got to adjust the elevons and the ailerons down a bit, get it to the point where when I switch it from fully stabilized mode into gyro mode, it doesn't even twitch. So that's going to be my goal for the next flight session for this aircraft. Okay, so now we're getting ready to bring it in here in a minute, and I've got about a 4 to 5 miles per hour crosswind when I bring it in. Not a complete crosswind, but a crosswind. So I try to nose into it as good as I can. But you'll see when I set it down here, you'll see how good the airframe is. It's very, very floaty, even at 200 grams all up way. It's very, very floaty. And with a 4 to 5 miles per hour wind, I was almost able to set it down vertically. If I hadn't overdone it on the elevator there, I'd have had a really, really nice sit down on the plane. But anyway, links to everything will be in the pinned comment below the video. I highly recommend the kit. It's a really, really good looking, a really stable airframe, but the kit only, not the plug and fly version. The electronics are bad in my opinion. That's a wrap on this episode. Stay tuned, and I will see you in the air.